Um, I'll just say okay. Edel Burke is my name. I'm a sergeant in Kilrush in West Clare. 24 years experience across, I suppose, rural and urban policing. I'm the last 15 years in rural stations here in Clare. And I like it because you get to know the people personally even. We're farming here at home in West Clare. We're a small dairy farm and, as my young lad says, in a bit of beef. And I suppose how I got interested in the farm safety is number one, my husband's brother was killed at 3.5 years of age, crossing from the farmyard to the home house. And then just didn't want history repeating itself. And on top of that, then going to farm fatal accidents here in Clare and trying to deal with the families and seeing the repercussions for them was just horrendous. So I just set about trying to organise different little farm safety events. And I got in onto Noel then here from Heinz Quinn Driving School when the quad bike training started. And we have 48 trained over the last year and a half on the quad bikes. So Noel then is from, do you want to introduce yourself, Noel?
Yeah. Hello, Kristen, and hello, Edel, and hello, everybody else. My name is Noel Quinn. I'm first and foremost a farmer from County Leitrim. And 38 years ago, I set up a driving school. The driving school, lucky enough, went from strength to strength. So we are the only driving school in Ireland that caters for all vehicles. So when we say all vehicles, we have lorries, buses, cars, jeeps and trailers, etc. Then I have another section in the driving school that deals with plant. So we were talking earlier there, when I was listening, you were talking about accidents with plant machines. So I'm an approved assessor by Solus for the plant machine for diggers, teleporters, dump trucks, forklifts, etc. And we have our own training yard in County Leitrim. Also, the topic that Edel was saying, we're also an approved training centre for Lancia for the ATVs, for the quad bikes. And we have 40 years experience. We have over 20 staff on our team, and we're centred. It's probably 3 hours drive from Edel, but we've called down to Edel more naturally for financial reasons, but more I have a great graw for the farmer and for the farming way of things, way of life. And I see the great necessity to up the standard of safety on farms. A fact from 40 years of training is the smaller the machine, the greater the risk of an accident. So on our farm here, we have 4 quads, we have tractors, we have lorries, we have jeeps, we have all sorts. And everybody will jump up on the quad and fly down the road to get their message and back up. Whereas they wouldn't use a 20-ton digger, they wouldn't use the teleporter, they wouldn't use the dumper. So there lies the risk. The smaller the machine, they think the less the danger, but in fact, the more the danger, because it's not intimidating. And as I said, there lies the problem, and there lies my aim or my job. And I was delighted to be accredited with the training and certification of drivers for the ATV. And as Edel said, I've gone down to her yard, and I've done whatever number of people there. And in the Midlands, we have done a large number of people for the last 2 years. Ireland is the first country to bring out the ATV training in Europe. And quite rightly so, the government and the IFA have realised that this issue and the danger, and they've stepped forward #1 in Europe, and there is a direct link between training and fatalities and lack of fatalities or decreasing the number. It's proven. I've already proved it with the plant machines. So in #2, before #2, plant machine accidents was exceptionally high in Ireland. You can say about the Celtic Tiger, you can use any excuses, but the real reason was there was no training on the machines. Nowadays, it is vital. No safety officer will allow anybody in Ireland to use a plant machine on a site unless they have attended a one-day course. Myself and a batch of 20 other testers take great pride in the fact that everybody is trained properly that has received a Solas CSCS card. And the accidents has dropped dramatically from the enforcement of the law to the training and the general awareness of people. Everybody that comes on a course with us in plant machines goes home and they're impressed, and they're impressed with the fact that they didn't actually know certain details or certain facts. One gentleman was driving for years and didn't know a basic fact of a track machine, a basic fact that you can't just pull the levers and go back, that you have to swerve around. So to get finished from that, as you can know, I'm very passionate about training. You can see it in me. And we would be delighted to do the Jeep and trailer training or the quad training or whatever we're asked to do from Edel or from whoever. Thanks, Edel. I don't want to bore the whole meeting.
No, you're not. We'd listen away. And next then is Kristen Almer. It was a last minute invite, and thanks for joining. Kristen is the founder of the Ride Safe Foundation in America. So maybe if you just want to introduce yourself there, Kristen, please.
Yeah, my name is Kristen Almer, and as Adele mentioned, I am the executive director and the co-founder of the Ride Safe Foundation, and we are powered by BRP. So we have a partnership with Bombardier Recreational Products in the United States. Our mission is to significantly reduce power sports related injuries and fatalities, particularly for children.
Lovely. Thank you. You're welcome. So I suppose the big question here is, why do you need the BE license here in Ireland? And the easiest thing to say is that it's a legal requirement. If you're towing your livestock box, your horse box, you need a BE category license. Your ordinary car license, the category B, will only authorize you to drive or tow up to 750 kg, which is like a small car trailer. Whereas the MAM is what it's called, the maximum authorized mass. This is the max weight a vehicle can tow. And you'll find that maybe in the door of your Jeep, or if you look at your manufacturer book, it'll tell you where it is. So the majority of them are about 3,500 kg. And your B category won't allow you then to tow a bigger trailer behind that Jeep. Noel, do you want to say anything there about that? The towing weights?
Well, yeah, just to confirm what you said, Edel, it's a legal requirement. So you have your car. It's a legal requirement. If you want to pull heavier than the weight of 750 kilos behind that car or Jeep, you must do training and you must do your license. So in order to get that license, there's a theory test to be completed. So this theory test, as we talked earlier on, Edel, a pupil may or may not have to do the theory test. It depends on their personal circumstance. Question is, did they do a theory test in the last 10 years? Yes or no? If they did do a theory test, happy days. They just walk into NDLS, fill up some forms, make an appointment, fill up some forms, then they get their learner permit. When they have their learner permit, If they didn't do a theory test inside the last 10 years, yes, they have to do a theory test. So whether you did it or whether you didn't, you end up with a learner permit. When you have the learner permit, you then apply for your driving test. Unfortunately, in Ireland, there's a delay with the driving tests. 10, 12 weeks is the usual delay. Before you go in for the driving test, then it's advisable to contact the driving school. Ourselves, we have 2 Jeeps and 5 or 6 trailers all over the country, so we'd be happy to oblige you. So contact your driving school. It's not mandatory to do lessons, but you must provide a Jeep and a trailer for the driving test. I would safely say that 99% of people would not pass a test without doing probably 2 or 3 lessons. A Jeep and a trailer must be provided in for the driving test. A couple of details for you, just for your information about the driving, about the Jeep and the trailer. You must provide a 4-wheel drive Jeep or a car or Jeep or whatever that's at least 4.75 meters long. So one or the other. Then attached to that, the trailer must be a box body, and it must be wider and higher than the drawn vehicle, meaning you can't use a flat trailer. It must be weighted, and I'm open to correction, but I think it's 850 kilos, but basically it's 30 4-inch concrete blocks on the floor of the trailer. Now, you can't use, there's breeze blocks, light blocks, you can't use them. And the idea is to simulate a weight so that your pupil is trained and tested with pulling a weight, because there's a big difference in pulling an empty trailer and pulling a weight. So as I said, you contact preferably ourselves. We take you out for the number of lessons you need. The average number of lessons would be 2, 3, 4 in around there, because you're dealing with somebody that has already got a car license. The pass rate in Ireland is 82%. Our pass rate is well over 95%. But we have a brilliant team of instructors, and we have, you can just Google us, you can look at our website or whatever, Heinz Quinn, and this is my baby and my passion from the last 20 years, 40 years, sorry. Going back, the reason of the great success with ourselves is that 2 years ago, a law came out, a European directive came out to say that you can use an automatic Jeep and to do the Jeep and trailer test. So if you've done your car test on manual, that probably our age group that I'm talking to here probably has. You've done one test on manual. That means all the rest of the tests, buses, trucks, Jeeps and trailers, can be done on automatic, and you still get the manual license. So the way that it works is, go in and do your driving test on our Jeep and trailer. It's automatic. It's a brand new Toyota Hilux. Toyota Hilux, through research, I have decided that that's the best Jeep to do the driving test in. It's automatic, so that eliminates 30–40% of the problems on a test. Your left hand doesn't have to change gears. You don't have to use your left foot for the clutch. So you have a lot more concentration on passing the test and things like mirrors and steering and position and all that. So because you're using automatic, you go in and you get a cert, but the cert will say that the pupil done it in automatic. However, when you go to the licensing board in Ireland and you use the European directive, you can tick a box and then you get the automatic and the manual license. Does that make sense, Edel and everybody?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, absolutely. Good man.
So basically, just to go recap on that, do your test on automatic. go in when you're filling up the forms, tick the box, and you get automatic and you get manual. So
Okay.
I've rabbited on long enough there.
No,
So if anyone,
no, thank you. And just to go back to the NDLS, I just looked it up before we came on. I Googled it.
okay,
So there's two ways of dealing with the NDLS when you're applying for your theory test. And one is if you're verified with mygov.ie, with your public services card, you can log into the NDLS and go through the MyGov section of it, and you can apply for your learner permit without having to go to the NDLS office. But again, that's only if you're verified with mygov.ie. But majority of us might be now with work changes over the last few years. The other, and if you wanted to get your public services card, go into your local intro centre. And then I looked it up as well for Ennis is my local NDLS, and I could get an appointment in the morning at 9:10 by just putting in my PPS number. So it's actually very easy to go into the NDLS and just sit down and have a chat with them even to organise your learner permit and your theory test. And the other thing that we see is the speed limit. Noel, what's the speed limit?
oh, you don't
Phone a box, what's the speed
don't be
limit? We
throwing
could
a
throw
hard
that out to the
question at
girls.
me. But lucky enough, I know that answer. So
Yeah,
no, it's 80 the speed limit
Yeah.
for a Jeep and trailer all over. Let it be motorway or let it be normal road. And quite right. I notice that when I'm driving trucks and Jeeps and trailers flying by me on the motorway with weights on the trailer. And if anyone knows what fishtailing is, there's a great video on YouTube, and it's on the Cavan bypass. And there was a Jeep, and they had, you know, them mobile kitchens, them yellow kitchens. They're like the council use. But basically, the weight of the trailer was far too heavy for the drawn vehicle, and it fishtailed, and somebody had it on video. Now it turned over, and lucky enough there was nobody hurt, but that's the reason that the speed limit is 80. So
yeah.
you know,
And what we
overweight
see-
and overspeed.
Yeah, overweight is the big thing, and especially with cattle, where, and more so maybe than the horse, the cattle will shift or they'll start fighting in the box when they're loose, and they shift. And as you say, next thing you're rocking and you're gone over. There's no comeback once you start that.
Yeah. And you see, it's amazing, Nidel. If you go to any mart, you'll see Toyota Hiluxes, which is in my opinion, the best vehicle. And you'll see people loading in maybe 8, 9, 10 cattle into a triaxle and them flying off.
Yeah.
But they are totally over the weight. Absolutely, totally over the weight. The first thing is the triaxle is a disadvantage because you have an extra axle there, so you have more weight in the trailer itself, which really means you should have less cattle in that box because it can't go over whatever the drawn vehicle weight is.
Yeah, that's 7,000 kg. Then the max you can tow with your BE license.
That's correct. Yeah.
So when you think of 8, 9, 10 cattle, your Jeep and your trailer, you're going well over your 7,000 straight away.
Well, as you quite rightly said, each vehicle, and I have a great, I can't get it now. It's a pity I couldn't get it, but each vehicle has a maximum pulling weight. So the trailer, we just said the Toyota Hilux 2.8 ton. So, but that includes the weight of the trailer. So you have a triaxle Ivor Williams cattle box, and maybe with a tank for slurry underneath. Well, that alone could weigh 1.5, 1.6, 1.7 ton. So depending on the trailer and the make of the trailer and the strength of the trailer, etc. So that only really leaves you with maybe 1.5 ton for your animals. So like, sure, a bull on his own could weigh a ton, you know, or 90% of a ton. So, you know, you're talking about 2 big bulls is the maximum you can bring, you know.
Yeah.
So
lovely. Does anyone have any questions for Noel about it, or are you happy enough Or you can ask at the end.
Don't ask me hard questions,
Yeah.
please. Whatever you do.
No, you're going well. Oh, well, I hope that covers how to go about getting your theory test and your learner permit for the trailer license. And you can go back and tell the husbands. I know some of the girls were saying the husbands don't have it. So try and see what they get going with it, because you've great
Yeah.
comfort, especially if anything happens. It's fine. It's typical Ireland. It's fine until something happens, and then will your insurance company pay out?
Is there
That's
any
where,
restrictions? Just a quick question. Is there any
Yep.
restrictions for, just say, a newly passed person? So you said like obviously the theory test lasts for 10 years. Just say my son did his theory test a year and a half ago because he has his tractor license. Now he's going for his driver test. So once he gets that, obviously there's a delay in that. But once he has a full license for the car, is there any other delays apart from that waiting time to get that trailer test?
No. Who am I speaking to? Because I don't see.
Mary.
Mary, yeah, Gavin, yeah. Kinston, whatever you want to call me.
What's the first name there, please?
Mary, sorry.
Mary, is it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
The line is bad, Mary. That's why I've asked. I think you've asked me that you have a young lad. He has done his theory test. He's waiting on his car test. Is that correct, Mary?
Yeah.
Okay. So no, he's in a perfect situation. When he does his 12 car lessons and when he passes his car test, he is trained to pass a car test. He couldn't go at a better time, go back into NDLS, get his Jeep and trailer license, apply for his Jeep and trailer test, have it in another 10 weeks. He'll have no bad habits, get him the few lessons for the Jeep and trailer and fly him through the test. Not a problem. That's the best time to go.
Okay. So he can do that as a novice?
He can do it straight away. Yes, straight away. Yeah.
Oh.
Lovely. Thanks, Mary. Will we move on to the quad bike safety maybe?
Yeah.
And this is where we'll bring Kirsten in towards the end of this. So I suppose the question here is, why do you need quad bike certification? And it is a bit like what Noel was saying with the EU directive. In November of 2023, the Irish government passed a new bill under the Safety, Health and Welfare at Work Act, a regulation where it required all operators of ATVs to now complete certified ATV training and also wear a protective helmet. So up to November 23, jump on your ATV and off you go. But now you need your certified training and a helmet at all times. So when I heard that, it sort of came in with very little fanfare and people weren't overly informed of it. And I knew here, especially the dairy farms, they do rely on their ATV training no more than ourselves here to use the ATV. So I contacted Noel and I asked him, would he come down to Clare and we'd get a few farmers trained in it. And when we applied then, 20 wanted to do it. So Noel actually stayed for the week, believe it or not. And we trained the 20, well, Noel trained the 20 farmers. I trained and my husband trained. So anyone that's using the quad bike has to be trained. So there's no good my husband Dominic having the training done when I'm using it as well. Now, our only, I suppose, good thing is Dom's dad is here on the farm and works hard. He's 77, but doesn't go near the quad. He's no interest in it. So he didn't do the training because he never gets up on it. But so Noel came down, trained the 20, and then I suppose every 6 to 8 weeks he came back and did another 4. Noel will tell you more about the requirements of it, but we've now 48 trained in Clare over the last year and a half, and I still have another few contacting me looking for another training day. So Noel will be on to you. But Noel, I might ask you just what's required during the course when a lad would or a girl would turn up.
Okay. Well, the first thing I suppose it required in the training. So what does the course entail? I suppose is that what we're saying? So
yeah,
it entails theory and practical. So from experience, people in Ireland and I'm sure in America, Kristen, some people, farmers and other people, have issues with reading and writing, and might think they have issues with reading and writing, and have issues with groups of people and training and that. So we have a strict rule in the driving school with the 20-something trainers that we have, that everybody of every level should be treated with respect and manners. So when I'm asked that question, I always say that is paramount. So yes, there is theory involved, but Edel, as somebody that has gone through the course, I would think that you'd confirm that the way that the theory is done is in a supportive and a gentle way and an informative way. And it's more a discussion than it is a lecture. Would you agree that?
100%. And
Yeah.
just to add, we've had 16-year-old trained and up to 74-year-old. And the 74-year-old was very nervous because of the reading and writing. So 100%, he was delighted now to be trained in it.
Yeah. So there's theory and a theory test. But as myself and Edel explained, the theory test, the day the big headmaster with the big stick is gone, you know, the theory was done courtesy of Edel in the shed out the back on the farm. And it was done in a lovely, relaxed, informative discussion. And we all decided what the right answer was. So it's not done in a forceful or an exam way. So that's your theory. And naturally, the theory is all based on questions on the ATV, how accidents can happen, what do you check on the vehicle before you start, you know, just general all about the course and what we've learned on the course. What's the right way to cross a river with the quad? What's the most important thing with the tire pressure, etc., etc. Then I teach in accordance to the standard of the pupil. So we had some pupils. We had some pupils in Clare that was very, very advanced, and we had pupils then that was exceptionally nervous for all sorts of reasons, you know, all different sorts of reasons. But we train, and we get each pupil to basically go through the course, as in we have cones set up, we have a little chicane built, we have a seesaw that people can go up and go down on the other side, we have water that they go through, we have a steep hill up and down. So basically we spend 7 hours, we have a trailer that we ask people to drive forward and reverse. And on successful completion, we issue them a cert. It's 7 hours, 20 minutes, I think, is the legal requirement for it. And yeah, we spend the day, and I like to think that it's an informative day. And I always get on well with the groups. You know, we would try to get on well. We try to have manners with people, and we're there to help. And our job is to get people the license. So after the 7 hours and after the course is done, with all them topics, hills, seesaws, chicanes, reversing, checking the machine, parking the machine, the cup of tea as well is very important.
Yeah.
We issue a cert, and that covers you until such time as the little card comes out. So
lovely. Thanks, Noel. So I did ask Noel if you wanted to get together in your own parish with a group of farmers on a farm, 4 per day. Noel would be willing to come to you. So that's something for you to think about over the next few weeks. Are you willing yourself to organise it for farmers in your area? And I can forward Noel's details after the Zoom through Alva or Mary as well to you. So I suppose we'll go on to Kristen is in America. She said, Kristen, what are you seeing at the minute in regard to quad bike safety or lack of?
Well, thank you, first of all, for inviting me to share what I've learned here. I started this whole journey because I lost my 11-year-old nephew to an ATV accident in 2013. He made the mistake of getting on his father's adult-sized ATV without a helmet and suffered a massive head injury within 3 minutes of getting on that machine. So the details of it are pretty horrific, and it was life-altering for me. It led me on a path of wanting to know, what didn't I say? What didn't I do? And that's led me here. So I'm 12 years into this deep dive into the research, into the fatality numbers, the injury numbers, the cost associated with these incidents, what's happening in numerous different states, the different ways that states handle training, the lack thereof, the lack of certified safety instructors, all of those things. We have, you know, and I think to your point, Noel, you know, you've been involved in this for 40 years. Most of the gentlemen that we work with at the Ride Safe Foundation are certified safety instructors, have 40 to 50 years of experience as well. And there is a very select, limited group of individuals that fall within that category, that have that level of expertise. And it won't be long in our case to see some of them age out. That's a big concern for me. In the United States, we have lost over 4,000 children that are 15 years of age and younger. Sorry. Over 4,000 children age 15 and younger to ATV and UTV related fatalities since 1982. They represent 1 out of every 5 ATV or UTV related fatality in the United States. So that means that we've lost over 20,000 Americans to these vehicles. We have seen a significant increase, of course, in 2020 during COVID. We saw a 34% increase of fatalities for children in just the first 5 months. During COVID, from 2020 to 2021, we saw a massive influx of new machines. We had over 700,000 new customers for Polaris alone on their off-highway vehicle machines in just the year 2020. They saw a 95%, which was a 30% increase over the previous year. They saw a 95% increase of people renting these vehicles. That was 275,000 rentals they did in 2020. So it's speculation, but it's a pretty fair guess that the market has been heavily loaded with ATVs and UTVs. And we sold a lot of them in this country over the last 5 years. People, I believe, are getting more and more cavalier and more comfortable with the vehicles, in spite of the fact that there's little to no training. If the vehicles are operated on private property, in most cases, there's no legislative measures for that in the United States, because of course, particularly in ag situations, it's private property, and these farm kids in America are doing exactly what you're seeing there in Ireland, and they're entrusted to do things at a very young age. This is, of course, why we see ATVs being the leading cause of fatalities for children on American farms. I recently had a conversation with one of the top researchers in the country. She works out of the Marshfield Clinic, and she informed me that the vast majority of the incidents that they're looking at from the child labor statistics indicate that these accidents are happening on the grandparents' farms. And so, and there's, I think, a pattern that we can see. There's definitely a correlation between older individuals who are 55 and older having the highest percentage of fatality rates in the United States. So over 30% of our fatalities are over 55 or 55 and older. But also, we're also seeing them being involved in these accidents for children. And what everybody attributes that to is a lack of safety certification. Because of course, if you grew up in the 60s and 70s here in America, we were all cruising around with no helmets and in the backcountry. And, it's big country here. We have a lot of ground to cover. There's a lot of freedom that people had. And, safety wasn't really that big of a concern. But the machines have gotten increasingly more powerful. They weigh more. They're far faster. And people just they flat out do not know. It literally comes down to the fact that they absolutely unequivocally do not know what the risks are. We have, if you're to go back 5 years, I think a significant thing that we recognize here in the United States is in the power sports industry in the US, 35% of our consumers are what we consider recreational users. So those recreational users self-qualify as power sports enthusiasts, and they plug into power sports safety messaging that the industry is very well equipped to deliver and really good at. And they do it consistently, and we have a lot of great voices for people that recognize themselves as power sport enthusiasts. The problem is the 65% of people that are buying these vehicles for utilitarian purposes don't see themselves as power sport enthusiasts, therefore are not plugging into power sport communications. Therefore, there's no way to reach these people. This is the problem. Number one, it's a very difficult topic to discuss. I mean, nobody wants to run around and talk about how many people are being injured or that are being fatally injured, for the love of God. Certainly not children. People don't like to hear that. It's not good for the industry for sure. It's definitely not something people have, a great time discussing anyway. And there's a lot of people who've suffered. In the United States, we've lost, as of today, we have the Ride Safe Foundation is aware of 665 children, 15 and younger, that we have lost since January 1st, 2020 in the United States. Right now, the top state in the nation per capita is Oklahoma. Oklahoma has had 19 total fatalities already this year. 50% of them are children 12 and younger. 50% of all of their fatalities. But of our numbers, the Ride Safe Foundation, we've created a map. My sisters and I have done that really in an effort to try to communicate more in real time what's happening, because the federal agencies are mandated to corroborate their data with death certificates, and that's a very time-consuming process. So they can't report data as quickly as we can, and we can say, well, here's an article that states that this individual was involved in an accident. We can give details pertinent to that, whereas they, have much more rigorous standards that they go by. For us, we, in a 5-year period from January 1st, 2020 to December 31st, 2020, we identified 589 child fatalities in the US for children 12 or 15 and younger. Of those, 49% of them are 12 and younger. 49 of those children were 5 and younger. And so what it really comes down to is there are no training programs for children. Certainly, I've heard that there are training programs for kids as young as 6. I've only heard that one time, and I've been doing this for 12 years. And I'm not disputing that. I'm just telling you, if it's true, I haven't seen it. I'm totally unaware, and I think most people are unaware. If I'm unaware, consumers are surely unaware. So, and people who don't recognize themselves as power sport enthusiasts, if you just because you have one on your property and your kid is riding one doesn't mean you're a power sport enthusiast, and you're going to start following Instagram accounts with athletes that are talking about safety, or the ATV certified safety instructors. They don't care. They don't think about it. They don't know. And so essentially in the US, our major problem, I feel, is twofold. Number one, we have an aging population of educators. While they are immensely experienced, they are not people that young people want to look to for the thrill and excitement and the adventure of what power sports offers. So they quickly appear to have aged themselves out of relevancy, although their expertise is there. In addition to that, we also have there is a true code of silence. And I don't think that there's anybody necessarily behind it. I think that people are fearful to talk because they're fearful that it will impact them personally. For example, if I have a neighbor and the neighbor is doing things, their kids are out and they're doing things that are dangerous, and I go to the neighbor and say, hey, which I've done, listen, you know, you probably, first of all, that's not legal to be on the road like that. You don't want two passengers on an ATV. The kids are too young. They don't have any helmet, like whatever. Have you seen the safety information? I've lost my own 11-year-old. No, instantly you're labeled with curse words and they're swearing at you. And, you know, and then you're calling the police because, you know, it's a big fight. People don't want to be told what to do. Not in America, for sure. Okay. They take the safety conversation as an affront to their freedom. And so the very, you know, that's one major problem. So this shuts people's mouths and people just don't say anything. And the people who are paying the price for that are children. It is children that are paying the price for people shutting their mouths. And not, if you're not brave enough to go to the neighbor and say something, then you know, then certainly, who are you expecting to say something? Because everybody's waiting for somebody else to do it. Well, nobody's going to do it. And the reason nobody's going to do it is because you cannot talk about injuries and fatalities. Not if you're in the industry. You can't be running around talking about these things. Not that you don't want to address it, but it's not going to be the topic of conversation. And while safety in and of itself, if you just want to say, put your helmet on, wear a seatbelt, make sure you're in the proper size vehicle, that's all fine and well and dandy. And everybody's already been doing that for 40 to 50 years. And it doesn't work. And the reason it doesn't work is because a really good example is if you've got a 15-year-old child, for example, a girl, and, you know, I've seen this many times, and you say, you know, they're in an accident. Well, did you have your helmet on? No, I didn't have my helmet on. Why didn't you put a helmet on? Did you know you should have worn a helmet? Yes. Why didn't you? I didn't want to mess my hair up. Okay, now you've messed your face up. I mean, right? But they're making I think the point is that they are making a conscious decision that they're not going to heed the wear your helmet statement. And the reason they're making that decision is they don't have enough information to make the right decision, because we're not telling them what will happen if you don't wear your helmet. That's what's missing. Nobody's talking about that. And because nobody's talking about that, this is going to continue to happen. So until we have people that can figure out, which I'm not a good example of that. I mean, Lord knows I have got a big mouth and I tell everybody everything that I've seen. And I do that because that is what the Lord has called me to do. I'm just going to open my mouth and tell people. But, you know, that's not well received in a lot of places. And so I just trust that there are people that will take what I say, figure out how to filter it appropriately, and then present it. But my caution is, don't soften it so much that it becomes irrelevant. And that's your biggest risk, is softening the message so much that it becomes irrelevant and it becomes mundane, boring, and they become entirely desensitized to it. So here we are today, because this is our problem. We have a rise in machines. In addition to that, we have a rise in UTVs, which you can put 4, 6 people in a side-by-side, depending on which vehicle it is. And now you can just be driving that vehicle. Nope. You could have a 12-year-old driving it. It's perfectly fine. You could have 6 people in the thing. They're driving down the highway and they pull out in front of a semi. I mean, it happens, and wipe the whole family out. Like, that literally has happened twice in the last 3 weeks. We had 2 cases of that happen where 4 people were killed in 2 separate accidents. In both cases, they pulled out in front of a semi-tractor. I mean, in the one case, it was an adult driver. So, I mean, can you not see a semi? I don't know what's happening. I don't understand. But you'd like to think it's rare. It's not. I wouldn't say it's common, but believe me, it's not rare. It's also not rare to roll a machine on top of somebody in a body of water, which people think, they don't think anything of that. We had 7 ice fall throughs in the state of Wisconsin in less than 2 weeks in this past winter, you know, where they're just driving the side-by-sides on the lake and they fall through the ice. A guy just died in Alaska from this as well. Nobody's talking about that either in terms of a campaign. Like, it's just, be careful. That is not enough information. And so until we figure out how to be honest about what's happening, we're going to continue to pay this price, and it's costly. In the United States, each fatality, according to the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration, is valued at $11.8 million. In the time frame that I addressed from the beginning of 2020 to 2024, just for child fatalities alone, that means we had $6.95 billion in financial losses because of fatalities alone. Injuries are a whole nother animal. We have between 40,000 and 55,000 children that are going to the ER every year in this country because of ATVs and UTVs. Law enforcement agencies and trauma specialists that I talk to think those numbers are 2 to 3 times too low. So they're huge numbers and people don't know what to do. So my recommendation is go to our website, which is ridesafefoundation.org. And I think the most powerful thing that you can do is you can go to our website, look at the impact map. It's under the resource tab on the ridesafefoundation.org website. And on there, you can click on year 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, click on and off the years and watch, like, where are these things happening? The red pins are females, the blue pins are males. Watch the rise in the number of female incidents you see. You can click on ATVs only or UTVs only. Watch the number of UTV incidents start to outweigh. We're at 50-50 right now. 50-50 ATV and UTV. It used to be a significant difference to that. And so if you're not watching for the patterns, you certainly can't stop it. You're going to be so far behind trying to do things that is 5 years, it's 5-year-old data that you have no idea what you're even doing. And so, so the map is there. And, you know, I encourage anybody, every time you click on a pin, it will tell you the age, it'll tell you the gender, it'll tell you the day, the month, where it happened. It'll tell you what vehicle were they driving. It'll give you some basic details. Was it a rollover? Were they on a dirt road? Did they get hit by a vehicle? Did they drown? What happened? It's all in there and it's really good information. But I think we have established, I really dug deep into this and identified about 22 precipitating factors in partnership with many of our very powerful, highly educated allies like yourself, Noel, that have a lot of experience in this area. And there's about, it's what I call the cascade of fatal errors. It certainly was a case in Logan's case. Logan committed all of these errors, every one of these errors, certainly in the list of the top 5. But you start looking at all these errors, he didn't get any of them right. And the reason he didn't get any of them right is because we didn't even know it was an issue. We didn't know that ATVs are the leading cause of fatalities on American farms. We didn't know it's the single most dangerous product in the United States for kids, discretionary use product by the Consumer Product Safety Commission. It's not that people aren't telling us. The Consumer Product Safety Commission tells us, ROVA warns us, but who's listening to ROVA? And who's listening to the Consumer Product Safety Commission? There's 311 million people in the United States. Who cares? That's the problem. The only people who care are the people who care. And the people who care are only the people that have suffered. And then they care. And then the rest of the people don't care. So this is kind of a frustrating thing. The safety certification. So here's the 5 red flag warnings. Here's the top 5 reasons why the top 5 precipitating factors contributing to child fatalities in the US. Number 1, 97% are on adult-sized machines. So it is literally the weight of the machine that's causing the most amount of damage. It's the power, the speed, and the weight of the machine, okay? It's the weight of the machine that's actually causing the injury or the fatality, okay? Number 2 is they have 95% of all of these cases, they have no safety certification. Now, this is children and adults, which is why the state of Utah and the state of Arizona have now made it mandatory, following the model of other international countries. Okay. The third leading contributing factor, which everybody thinks is number 1, is no helmet. It's not number 1. It's number 3. It's 9 out of 10. So some states it's 98%, but other states it's, there's a better, it differs. So our average is 9 and 10. So wear a helmet. Make sure your kids are never on an adult-sized machine if they're less than the proper weight of or 16. If they're under 16, they should not be on full-size machines. I mean, safety instructors let them give you the guidance. I'm not the expert on that, but definitely you don't want your little babies on full-size machines. They can weigh up to 2,500 pounds. Like, and if you think like that's no big deal, then I just really strongly encourage you to run into your basement and go grab a 50-pound weight and drop it on your foot this afternoon and see how you like it. Because that's what we're talking about. Okay. So, it's a big deal. And if you want to teach your kids, like, hey, what would happen if I didn't wear my seatbelt and this thing landed on me? I don't know, give them a dumbbell or something and say, I don't know, here, go have fun with this. You know, like sometimes it's, you know, better to have them like really comprehend what is going on than just giving them vague ideas and notions about like, well, just wear a helmet. You know, I think we have to just do more. But the fourth leading contributing factor in the US right now this is not all states, but where the fatalities where we're seeing them, it is across, the numbers show us that 70% of the child fatalities are now happening in the right of way, meaning on the surface of the road, on the shoulder of the road, or in the ditch. 70%. That's just for children. I don't know what the data is on that for adults. We don't track it. And then the fifth leading contributing factor, of course, is rollover. So 63% of all cases in the US, and this is even according to the latest Consumer Product Safety Commission report, which came out in 2024, we are 63% of those cases are rollovers. The Consumer Federation of America just announced that we saw a 137% increase in fatalities from 2023 to 2024. So the problem's not getting better. I'm afraid that if we don't all get real serious about it here, and there's a lot of people working on it, a lot of people. We've got corporations coming in, there's aftermarket companies helping now, sanctioning bodies are letting us come on the grounds and do trainings. You know, thank God for BRP. They have got a Ride Responsibly initiative. They're really very serious about it. They have, you know, been our primary funding from the beginning. We have trained 10,670 children in a period of less than 18 months. And we did that in 5 states, literally 5 states, 10,670 children. When we put them through our program is 2.5 hours long, and we train on ATVs, UTVs, dirt bikes, snowmobiles, watercraft, and we fit every child with a helmet. When we go into a school district, we do all the children from kindergarten all the way through high school if the superintendent will allow us access to those kids. So we have a major lift. We do huge events. There's pictures on our website. If anybody wants to communicate with me, we have videos and things like that to show what we do. It's a beautiful model. We bring in law enforcement officials, game and fish wardens. We bring EMS, fire department, trauma specialists, doctors, professional bass fishermen, professional racers of all walks, from motocross to ATVs to monster trucks to off-road racers, from, you know, local amateur people to the most high-profile world-class athletes. They all come in and everybody wants to help. People want to do something. They don't know what to say. That's our problem. They don't know what to say. And they're looking to us as leaders to tell them, what do I say? And saying, wear your helmet doesn't work. So we're working on that with our partners, coming up with, you know, new ways to equip them to have the conversation. We're also working on an animated series. You can find a promo of that on our YouTube channel. If you go to YouTube and you look up Ride Safe Foundation, you'll find Jack's Wild Ride, and that's a 3-minute promo. It's just the first draft of what we hope to be a 12-episode series that will be available to any child anywhere in the world, 24 hours a day through YouTube. The second thing we're working on is virtual reality training program that is heavy underway. We're working with a brilliant company out of New Zealand. They are experts in this, and we currently have 4 modules already ready. We hope to launch it here in the United States as a major program in 6 states in January of 2026. It's going to require a lot of funding, but we've got all the key players are in place right now in those states telling us they want it, and they're actively moving forward to secure funding to make it happen. So, so those are just some of the things. There's a lot.
Yeah, no, thank you so much. It's gut-wrenching really when you hear the numbers. It's the mind boggles. And something here is You have to be 16 to drive the quad. And people are like, but it's smaller than a tractor. And I always say, like what you said there, it's because the child's weight at 16 isn't able to handle a quad bike. And that's why you have to be 16. I have to keep reminding people that. But Millie had a question for you there when you said about the accidents happen on grandparents' properties. She wanted to know, did she hear that right? And if so,
Yes.
why?
The reason for it is because grandparents fall in that 55 and older age category and they have no safety certification. They've never been safety certified. That's why. The younger generations do have them. The older generation does not. And so it's not intentional. They love these kids as much as you love your kids. It's accidental. Well, I mean, there's many people that have a problem with that phrase, but it's unintentional. Let me just put it that way. It's entirely unintentional. Nobody wants to hurt these kids. There's nobody that wants this to happen. But the nut that people can't seem to crack is, how do you get people to pay attention if you don't shock them with the data? And if you shock them with the data, that's kind of offensive. So you can't really do that. This is the hurdle that we're trying to overcome. And the only way to manage that, I think, is really to create fun, engaging, interesting content and get kids to want to learn about safety. And animated series and virtual reality training will be beautiful with that. We will continue with our major event lifts. We will do that as well. But for all of you parents out there who have children who struggle with this issue and you are, encouraging your children to ride, please take heed of the professional athletes of the world. The professional athletes of the world have truly mastered the art of safety. If they had not mastered the art of safety, they would never accomplish anything significant, let alone great. So there is a way to do it. It is training. There is discipline. Safety is a learned behavior. It is math and science. It's recognizing that there is a risk, choosing to take the risk because you have made all of the proper adjustments to accommodate and account for the risk. Denying that the risk exists, you're going to find out that it doesn't matter if you deny it or not, it's going to show up. So that, I think, is the major issue, is to always follow professional athletes and follow their lead, because they truly are the safety experts of the world. And no disrespect to gentlemen like Noel. They're, if one of the world's top athletes went to Noel, he might learn quite a bit about, how to operate on a farm, but there's a lot that those these athletes know, because they've been doing things in extreme environments that far exceed the knowledge of certified safety instructors. But nobody's recognizing these athletes as equipped to train these kids. They're being overlooked. We have armies of them worldwide. They're everywhere. They're literally everywhere. And so call on your professional athletes, call on your amateur athletes, call on your racers. If you don't have enough training in the world, you're wondering, like, where am I going to go? There's no trainers. Problem solved. Call a racing sanctioning organization and get your child involved in racing, because that's what racing is. Racing, you don't get out on, you never go riding without your helmet, your gear, and you have to, the whole thing starts from safety day one. The liability for the race organizations, if you didn't do that, is so great. I guarantee you they're going to be drilling safety extensively. So that's my advice. I'm here for any one of you. You can call me, you can text me, you can email me. If you have questions, do not hesitate to call me. There's nothing special about me. I just happen to be a girl who, I lost my 11-year-old nephew. He was my brother's youngest son. I'm an aunt to 30 children, and he was one of 30. But we're not losing Logan for no reason. We're not doing that. And like I've said many times, I vowed when we lost him, we weren't losing him for no reason. I meant it then, I mean it right now. And it doesn't matter how many people we save. It does not matter how many people we talk to. The price is never going to be worth it. So we will continue to do what we're doing until my last breath. We will continue to do what we are doing because, we've saved kids' lives, and we know it for a fact. We know it. And, I had one mom said, and this is what I'll leave you with. We were able to gift a helmet to a young man who was about 17 years old at one of the schools here in Wisconsin during an event that we did. And we had 2,000 kids that day. He was randomly selected by our co-founder, who just kind of felt a feeling like, this kid might need a helmet. The following morning, that child who now previously had never had a helmet and had been riding his ATV to school across vast, long distance rural terrain to get to school every day. He hit a semi in the fog the following morning, and he was wearing the helmet that we gave him, and it saved his life. His mother has a very powerful quote. She said, "Kristen, I should have been planning my son's funeral." And she said, "Instead, I'm planning his future, thanks to the Ride Safe Foundation."
Yeah, good woman, Kristen.
So just do it,
Yeah,
and I mean,
keep it going.
oh, and the kids are so happy. They're so happy. I've had so many little kids walk up to me and say, "I love you. I love you." And they'll hug my legs, and I'll walk into a room and they'll all start cheering, and I'll be looking around me like, well, who just walked in the room? And they're cheering because I walked in the room. They love it. They want you to care about them. They want you to tell them. They want to know. They don't want to have to figure this stuff out for themselves. And thank God for the companies that are backing what we do, because without them, we could never do this. And with them, we are going to make huge strides because they've got the audience. They have the expertise, they have the resources, and they're the ones that can reach the masses. And there's no shortage of those people that have been calling me in recent days and months. And there's so much opportunity here for us to do so much more. So I thank you for the audience. I'm here for you guys too. I mean, get me over there to Ireland. I'll fire some things up.
Yeah. Good woman. No, thank you so much, Krista. On behalf of Dairy Women Ireland, thank you so much for joining with us. It's a lot to think about, and I think you've just empowered me to. I wrote it. I've loads of notes wrote, but don't soften the message. So I think that's empowered us, and that's what Dairy Women Ireland are about: empowering each other. And I think we'll keep going with our safety message here too.
Listen, you're not going to get anywhere in life if you're not going to be totally honest, right? The more honest you can be, the more you're going to get. You're going to get there the faster you can. So thank you so much for everybody. And, I mean, obviously handle things with grace. I'm not recommending that, but I'm just saying let's just be honest, and let's be tough enough to be honest with each other. Right?
Yeah. Good woman. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
And Noel, thanks so much for joining in as well. I know it's very important, people trying to understand how to go about even getting a license. So really appreciate you coming on and helping us. And thanks to the Dairy, Alva is there behind the scenes. So thanks, Alva, for hosting the Zoom. And thanks, Kirsten. I hope you get home safe.
Yeah. Thank you so much.
No, thank you. Thanks everyone for joining in.
Thanks, Adele.
Now. Bye.
Thanks, Carol.
Thank you.